5 o'clock p.m. in Moscow. I don't know what you see on your clock, but being here, I say good evening and welcome to the webinar presenting the new master's program in Russian Studies at the HSE University, High School of Economics in Moscow. You can see the program manager, Arseny Starenchenko, on my left, myself, Professor Boris Makarenko, the academic supervisor of the program, and God willing, I'll be one of your teachers if you join us next fall. Let me take about 10 minutes to give you a brief overview of the program and explain why we started this enterprise. Then you'll have a chance to ask questions by texting it. I'll see it on my monitor here. So let me begin. Basic facts about the program. It's brand new. The first intake is next year. It's a 2-year full-time master program. At the end of the program, the successful students will be granted master's degree in political science because the focus of the program, unlike many comparable programs also called Russian Studies, is not on Tolstoy or Dostoevsky, not on the classical ballet. We will be mentioning it in our lectures. Culture is central to everything, and Russian culture in particular. But we will analyze Russia and study it as political scientists. Of course, it's in English. Of course, you'll have to pay for the program. It's 370,000 rubles per academic year. Depending on the exchange rate, it's about 5,000 euro. And bad news, on the first year, we are not in a position to offer discounts. If the program kicks off successfully, the next intake may have that privilege. Now, why Russian Studies and what is Russian Studies about? Let me quote one Russian poet, Fyodor Tuchev, who said in 1868 that Russia cannot be measured by a common yardstick. One has to believe in it rather than comprehend it with reason. Much later, Winston Churchill said that Russia is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. Both statements presume that you cannot study Russia as an academic, that you need spirituality, you need some magical skills, you need to graduate from Hogwarts to enter High School of Economics program. We strongly challenge this approach. Every country is unique. Even if you look at classic European democracies, England is different from France and both are different from Germany. The catch is that the further you travel from the European continent where the modern social science was born, the more deviations from classical models you see. It's true of Russia, it's true of every Asian, African, Latin American country. So our challenge is to compare and contrast, or rather to merge the wisdom of political science and other social sciences with the realities of Russia, particularly modern Russia. We will be talking about history, but we'll concentrate on what Russia is today. Next slide. I start advertising the program now. Its first advantage, you'll be studying Russia in the heart of Russia. We measured the distance in Google Maps, the distance from the Savior's Tower of Kremlin and the main building on the campus of High School of Economics is 1.18 kilometers or 0.73 miles. Other advantages. Moscow High School of Economics, we prefer to call it much more than economics. It's a quickly developing universities of Russia, which already is rated as one of the leading high schools in the country, ranked high in international ratings in many disciplines, including political science and social sciences in general. Where does the program come from? It's been designed by a faculty team which 20 years ago started one of the first programs in political science in this country after collapse of communism. It's an experienced team with a 20 years record of teaching, which now translates their knowledge of Russia into the English language, and we are ready to pass that knowledge on to anyone aspiring to work in Russia or with Russia, coming from the East or from the West or from inside the Russia proper. Our faculty members are not just academics. Many of them have vast experience of advising government agencies, doing electoral campaigns, elaborating development strategies for regional and municipal governments. They know Russia firsthand. For myself, I can say that for a quarter of a century, I am working, and now I'm chairing a think tank called Center for Political Technologies, which does electoral consulting, political consulting, many other things. So our knowledge of Russia comes not only from books or TV, not even from internet. We know it firsthand. We work with Russian politics and Russian society. Therefore, our approach to studying Russia is academically sound and comprehensive, but it's practically oriented. And of course, being in Russia, spending a couple of years in Russia, you have many avenues to know the country better, to make friendships, to master the Russian language. How is the program built? Since this is a program in the discipline of political science, you have to take required courses in political science, such as modern political science course or methodology and methods of political science, and we have a research seminar in political science. The Russian studies proper is divided into required courses and elective courses. We have kind of two pools of elective courses, and you'll be required to select a certain number from each of the two pools. And here you have freedom of maneuver. If you are more interested in economics, we have that type of things. There are at least 3 courses talking about demography, the population of Russia. There are courses which talk about Russia and the outside world in general and in particular. There's a course on Russia and the Muslim world. I can see many students listening to us now coming from Muslim countries. I'm not sure if I see any Chinese names, but there is a course on Russia and China relationship. Will you be required to study Russian? The answer is no, unless you want to. We offer an intensive course of the Russian language, which you are welcome to take. If you have further questions or further information or a complete list of course offerings, visit the program's website, which you can see on this slide. Thank you for your attention. I'm done with the introduction and I am welcoming your questions. Except I don't see any at this time. Okay, I can see the first one. The question is about English or Russian level requirements for the program. There are no requirements pertaining to the Russian language because the program is completely in English. We would appreciate an academic transcript which shows your grades in English, or if you have a certificate of an international test of English, such as TOEFL, that would be a good part of your portfolio. Yeah, I forgot to say, the admission is via a portfolio competition, and the composition of that portfolio can be found on our website. No more questions so far, but I see the signs that somebody's typing. Does the course have it? Has a history component? Not specifically, but nearly every course will have a historic component. Speaking for my course, which is about Russian political institutions, it starts with an overview of how institutions and political systems were developing since at least Peter the Great over the first 3 centuries ago. And of course, how USSR ceased to exist and Russia appeared. So every professor, every faculty member will go into history, but no, this is not specifically a history course. Are there any scholarship for international students for this course? The course will be open for exchange students coming to HSE University. If you mean scholarships waiving the tuition fees, I said we cannot afford it on the first year, but in the future we hope to have such opportunities. The tuition fees are the same for Russians, Ukrainians, and people coming from any of the 200 roughly other nations of the world. Any scholarships for CIS students? Arseny? Okay.
I don't think so. No, there is no any scholarships for the first year, unfortunately.
That's about the quota students. I think that's what the question is about.
No, on the first year, yeah, there is no any quotas for the post-Soviet countries or anything. So everyone has the same conditions, but yeah, the program is, there is a tuition, but there is relatively cheap dormitories in Moscow. There is some social benefits for students in Moscow. Yeah.
There are many questions about waivers and scholarships. I repeat, on the first year, except for what Arseny said, no, we will require everyone to pay. There's a question about criteria of admission, because today I received an email, I am rejected. This program has not admitted any student at this time, but it. But Arseny has something to say.
Let me read the question. Is criteria admission because today I received them. I believe it is maybe for the formal conditions. There is something wrong with your passport.
Did you see?
No. It's pre-program sort of. There is a manager who's checking the formal requirements, your passport, your name.
So if you were rejected, you were not rejected by the program.
Yeah.
Contact the person who sent you this email. Check what is missing in your application. We are only concerned with your portfolio, which includes your letter of motivation, your academic transcript, recommendations, and a short essay. Normally we do not, if the portfolio is complete, we do not reject anyone before we have a Skype interview with that person. What about the general expectations from which countries you are going to take master students? No limitations. The program is open to Russians and non-Russians, Europeans, Americans, Asians, Africans, whatever. And we believe that students from many countries may have different motivations, but they are interested in Russia mainly for different reasons. But our program is designed to provide knowledge of Russia to anyone coming from any part of the world. The price is for a year. That's for 2 semesters. So the program is 2 years, so you have to multiply it by 2.
Some more questions.
Let me scroll for more questions. We answered. Oh, that net connection, I didn't get the answer. Let me check what the question was. I'm afraid I don't see it. No, I got it. A preparatory year student. So I'll repeat the question. No requirements of the Russian language for the program because it's completely in English. As for English, If you have an international certificate of a test in English, such as TOEFL, please add it to your portfolio. If not, your academic transcript will show how many hours of English you have and what is your passing level. That's about the requirement.
And of course, if you don't have any certificate, we will anyway have an interview.
And we'll talk to you over the Skype.
So,
what are the perspectives with this degree? There is an answer on that question on our website, career opportunities. And here, where I have to return to the question about from which countries we expect the students. Different countries have different configuration of ties and connections to Russia. What probably travels well for everyone, you will be an MA in political science with diversified knowledge of different sides of the Russian life, and quite possibly with fluent Russian. So the career opportunities are obvious. First, it's diplomatic service or any kind of government service. It's business. Any international businesses doing business in Russia or with Russia will be looking for professionals who know Russian. If you take courses closer to political economy, economics, if you have a background in quantitative methods, you may be a good prospective employee of an audit company or a consulting company. And of course, all types of NGOs, international organizations. Last but not least, this is one of the leading universities in this country. You will be fully prepared to enter a PhD program in this university or any university of the world, which will open you a path to a career in teaching, in academic research. So anywhere where employers need someone who can unwrap the riddles and mysteries of Russia or measure it with a common yardstick, they will be demanding professionals like you. How many hours it would be if Russian courses are? How many hours of the Russian language?
I believe the other question is about the Russian courses.
How many hours it would be if Russian courses are open? What do you mean if Russian courses are open to international
language?
Russian language, okay.
I don't actually remember how many hours, but you can send me a message on ma.rs.
Make sure we have your email address. We'll look at the course plan and give you the answer. The internship content of the program. Well, the program is new, so I can't give you examples. We'll be contacting both NGOs, research universities, think tanks, to see if they will take you for an internship. Normally, students of the High School of Economics, including international students, including students who attend English language program, do not have a big problem of finding internship opportunities, and our career services will help you with that.
Yeah, there is a lot of branches of international organizations in Moscow, such as Transparency International, variety of UN-connected funds, of course, international business. So there is no problem with internships in Moscow because.
Okay, a question. I don't have TOEFL or IELTS certificate. My graduation was completed in English medium. Do you mean the language of instruction was English? If you received your education with English as language of instruction, you don't need any certificate of English. is there flexibility in attendance, especially for international students who have work? I do not welcome students who do not attend lectures because basically the main chemistry of getting an education, particularly at master's level, is attending the class, communicating with your peers and of course with your professors. We understand that many of our students have a job and sometimes a full-time job and try to adjust and try to be helpful. And of course we offer readings, but nothing substitutes class attendance. We will not expel you if you miss too many classes, but missing classes will be at your own detriment. Flexibility in attendance, I'm afraid I missed some questions. How many hours of classes, lectures should we expect per week? Arseny, can you answer that?
Usually on any master's program there is like 3-4 academic hours per day.
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Five days a week.
And yeah, on master's program, on master programs, usually it's on the evening, starting from something like 4 p.m. and until
yes,
8 or 9 p.m.
When we are done with this webinar, I'll be moving to a class which I'll be teaching from 6 to 9 p.m.
So anyway, there is a possibility to work in the first half of every day. So if
yeah, it's specifically designed. We understand that many master students have a job. And some students are arriving in my class directly from their office. I guess that's the further question from a student who was rejected. Please write to Arseny at the email address you can see on this page, and he'll look into the situation and will try to be most helpful.
Yeah, send me resend me the message that you got, or at least screenshot. I will look through it.
I don't think I have any unanswered question left at this time. So if you're considering asking a question, please do so now.
Is there a chance to introduce other academics?
To introduce other academics of the program now. There's nobody except Arseny and myself in this room this time. And let me try to mention some names. One advantage of the faculty of our Department of Political Science, we have the single strongest team of specialists in Russia's regional affairs and regional politics, such as Professor Rostislav Turovsky, Professor Nikolai Petrov. We have one of the leading demographers of Russia, Mikhail Denisenko, teaching there. We have a very interesting political economist who knows the formal and informal side of the Russian economy, Alexander Yakovlev. We don't have a full list of names on the website yet, but you can see the courses, and if you are interested in who is reading that course, again, ask a question, and we'll tell you who is teaching that. Does HSE offer PhD programs in Russian language and literature? That beats me. I guess
Yeah.
so.
It does beat the other faculty. There is a faculty of humanities, and I believe, yeah, they should.
Uh, Look at that. Here is send us. Dear
Yeah.
applicant, we have to reject your application because your score for the portfolio is low.
Yeah, but it's the other.
It's not our program.
It's international business program, and we are Russian studies. So you can contact.
It's a different program, and we can't answer on their behalf. I don't think we received your portfolio in this program, do we? Arsen?
No.
If you're applying for the program in Russian studies, send us your portfolio and we'll look at it. I think I mentioned a research element. Could you expand on that? Okay. Well, first of all, you'll have a required seminar in methodology, which teaches you how to do research and how to write research papers, and that's a required piece. Then, in most courses, you'll have to do either a course paper or an essay, depending on the requirements set by an individual professor. Now, so what our students certainly don't feel any deficit of is a research component. We have a library, our students have access to good databases of books and articles, including in English. And yeah, I think that's enough.
When can I apply for? You can apply.
You can apply starting from now
until the August of
until
the
August.
next year. So you have plenty of time, but it's better to do it.
Yes, if you look at the composition of the portfolio, if you think you have all the components, or you can quickly write a short essay and a letter of motivation. My advice inter alia was to do it the earlier the better. We'll have more time to contact you and to talk. Turkish journalists, I want to work and study there meaning in Russia. To work and study there. Well, you can apply, and if admitted, you can study. We can't be responsible for finding you a job, but if you find you one, technically, as I said, I don't welcome students missing my classes, but in real world, I know that many students have to work, and many students successfully combine work and study. Do you have any English or Russian level requirements for other Russian taught master's programs? In English, I think I answered that, and basically all the programs at HSE have more or less the same requirements. Some programs insist on an international certificate, some other. Our program can do without such a certificate if we can see your level of English from your academic transcript and or from an in-person interview on Skype.
But yeah, there is exam, English exam, or on the every Russian taught master program in HSE. So.
Mm-hmm. As it is brand new, the master's and the PhD are also available for the. Well, this is a master's program, so it's available. If you complete the program, you'll be open to compete for a PhD program at the university. Is there any preparation of course in Russian language? In Russia, yes. In this program, no, because it's not required. The program is in English. If you enter the program, you have, as a elective course, you have a chance to elect intensive Russian class, and you'll have plenty of that.
If you want to, yeah.
If you want to, it's optional. If we accept it, you have a chance to participate. master's program courses individually. Or we can't say no, but first of all, your day will have the same 24 hours, and you will not have much more time left. Second, the admission to classes of other professors or other programs depend on the agreement of every lecturer. I tend to be open when I receive requests from students from other programs if they wish to attend, but like many professors, I don't like auditors in my class. I assume that if a person is present in my class, that person should take all the tests and exams and fulfill all the requirements. Otherwise, what's the use of attending classes? And you have to decide that on individual basis. I'll say hi from me to Mrs. Zinchak. If the HSE webinar is done, yes, it is done in Moscow, as I said, 1.18 kilometers from the Kremlin, but I am afraid the name of Mrs. Zinchak is new to me. Hi from Nizhny Novgorod. Hi to Nizhny Novgorod. Well, it's 5:30 now. I don't see any new questions appearing for the last minute or two. Let me take 1 or 2 minutes. Could you please tell us about the scholarship? Which scholarship? What's the price for the program? Okay, you missed that. It's on the first slide. It's 370,000 rubles per academic year, which at today's exchange rate roughly translates into 5,000 euro per year. So the program, the complete program, is twice that much. Let me scroll that down. There is no scholarship. No waivers. No waivers of tuition are available on the first year. To give people a minute or two to formulate questions if they have any left, I will go back to the first slide. When we were devising the logo or style for the program, we decided on a painting, on a Russian painting, to represent our program, and we were arguing with colleagues whether should it be a classic, say, 19th century painting of, say, the Kremlin of Moscow, something different. I insisted on this one. This is a painting by Aristarch Lemtulov, an abstract painter of first half of the 20th century. It represents the Dormition Cathedral, the chair of the Patriarch of Moscow since the 15th century, when it was built by Italian architects, but in Russian style. That's the merger of international architectural science and unique Russian cultural style, presented in abstract painting of the 20th century. Russia has always been strong at combining things native and things borrowed or imported, combining the old and new, history and modernity. That's what we will be teaching you at the class if you join the program. Let me quickly check if we have any for the last 3 minutes, only one message appeared, and that message was, "Thank you for the presentation." Unless I don't see anything in the next minute, or have another look at our email address, and don't hesitate to write to us to ask questions you forgot to ask now. And we hope to be hearing from you and receiving your applications and portfolios. And since no further questions appear on my monitor, let me thank you for your attention and wish you good luck, and hope to see you in Moscow in September. Goodbye.